Hello and welcome to the Digitally Overwhelmed podcast. My name is Cynthia Pacheco and I'm on a mission to help online businesses step out of digital overwhelm and step into their creative potential. This podcast is all about helping women get more in tune with the analytics and SEO side of their business without the digital burnout. Get more information about the podcast at digimorphs.com. Hey, welcome to episode number 79 of the Digitally Overwhelmed podcast. My name is Cynthia, and I'm super happy to have you here. Welcome to this episode. The sun is shining, and I just feel like spring has arrived. My black cat Choco is very pensively looking outside the window because he is obsessed with some birds, and there's just way more birds when spring rolls around here in the morning and in the evening. They're just singing, so I'm pretty happy. Spring is a very beautiful time here to be in Buenos Aires. So I'm really excited about today's episode. It's a solo episode. I'm going to be talking about why I decided to invest in a mastermind this year, and basically I'm going to be breaking it down for you because I want to talk to you about where did this decision come from? Why I decided to get on a plane and go to Denver. It's kind of a far plane ride for me. What the actual mastermind was like, how the outline of the mastermind was like, the other women I met there. I didn't know anybody. I hardly knew Erin. I mean, I've known Erin online, but it's very different. And then kind of 3 results I've experienced from the mastermind. It's been over a month since that experience, and I still feel like it was just so important for me. It was amazing. It really changed the rest of my year and my business. I have no doubts about that. So I wanted to share that with you and share a little bit about, if you're thinking about that sort of event, what it would be like and if it would benefit you in any way. Before I get into that, though, I just wanted to make a couple announcements. I have some new SEO services that I'm super excited about. So in case, for those of you who don't know, I have small business SEO services. I have retainer services. And from now, I also have a one-time SEO service. So if you are looking to dip your toe into some search engine optimization, get those users who are searching for you in Google to find you. It's a great way to complement all your social media marketing and any other marketing you're doing. It's more long-term and it's just more stable. The other piece of service that I'm so excited that I'm rolling out are white label SEO services for web developers and VAs. So if you are a techie, you have your clients, and your clients have been looking around for SEO services, you can actually offer that to them, and I'm behind the scenes actually implementing that for you. So we work together. I have a whole system that we would use depending on the type of client you have, and we just implement it, and your client doesn't even know I'm there, right? And you look like a rock star. So it's just so exciting, and this is some of the things, sneak peek, that I decided from the mastermind to roll out. So if you are interested in either of those things, or you're just wanting to talk about SEO in general, head on over to my site, digimorphs.com. There's a contact page there, and you can fill out your info, and we can see if it's a good fit. All right, so the mastermind. Wow, what an experience. I'm still amazed that I even did that. And it really wasn't something I was planning to do this year. I'd gone last year to the Yellow Conference, and this year I knew I wasn't going to go. And I really didn't have anything lined up. I just figured 2018 was going to be more of a low-key year in terms of travel for business. So I know, I mean, from the beginning of my business, I knew like investing in the opportunity to spend one-on-one time with other women is key for me. I mean, that's my ideal audience. And it's not just about clients. It's also just about getting feedback, about expressing your ideas. And any opportunity I have that to do here where I live, I do it. I have a meetup. I get together with other expats. Obviously, it's a little bit different here in Argentina, but I knew like I would be investing in travel. That's just kind of the way that I'm setting up my business. So again, this year I thought, okay, we're going to make it a little bit more of a low key year. Now, of course, things don't always go out as planned, and that's the beauty of running your own business. And basically, Erin approached me, I think 2 or 3 months out from the mastermind, and basically let me know that she's running this mastermind. She had a formal launch and she launched it to her community, but because I've collaborated with Erin and I've done some guest expert things and we've actually had a client together, she reached out to me individually, which honestly made a big difference because I felt like it was going to be a really good fit, right? She was thinking of me specifically to be part of the mastermind, and that just really changed the perception of it, right? If she had just kind of sent it as part of her, whatever, as her email funnel, I don't know, I probably would have looked at it, but that individual attention, which Erin is good at, made it a big deal, right? So this is actually the first time she ran it, and I'm sure some of you are wondering, is this an expensive deal? Yes, I mean, the first time price will probably go up, and she runs it next year, but I had to buy a plane ticket. I had to think about my lodging. I had to think about the food that I would buy, and I'm going to, some things were covered, but essentially it is an expense. Now, do I think it's worth it? Yes. Of course, I can connect with other women staying at home in my pajamas and hanging out on Instagram. Yes, I can connect with other people, but it's not the same. It's just not the same. It's so different. And it's totally different. So basically, from that first time that she pitched it to me, it took me about a month to decide to go, because usually when I have trips like that, I pair them up with other trips to Canada and other things. And so once a couple things got confirmed, basically I had some weddings to go to. Yes, I said to her yes, and I was really excited. Something I liked that Erin did is that the mastermind was a smaller group, so it was 6 women. I really like that. I like that intimate, smaller group aspect, and that's what I was looking forward to, and I knew I was paying for kind of individual attention, really. So the mastermind included dinners. We had 3 dinners included, which were amazing. I'm going to get into that. But then breakfast and lunch were kind of on each person, and everybody just did something different. I will say that both of the days, the mastermind was, we ate together. So Erin gave us the option to kind of do our thing, but it was so obvious that we were all just craving to hang out, right, with other women. So this is the actual layout of how the event went. So it was 3 days. We had, in the mornings, we would have a hot seat. So everybody would have about 20 to 30 minutes to talk through and get coaching on a specific thing in their business. Then in the afternoon, it was kind of like a working session time, and I'm going to get into that. And then there was a little bit of a chill time or shopping time for some of us, and then dinner. And I love this layout. I will just say this worked really well for me. And I think a lot of the other women appreciated it too. Like just that balance of working, but also social. It just really worked well. And the other part of the mastermind that I think was really crucial to the entire experience was the other women that Erin decided to let in. So she actually had an application process, and she handpicked everybody. So there was a lot of thought and consideration taken into account when bringing together this group, and that really made the mastermind very meaningful. We were all very different. We actually all had, fairly different businesses. I mean, there were a couple women who did develop websites, but One of them, specialized in Squarespace, another one more in WordPress. So there was that. Then there was a UX designer. There was myself, SEO expert, Google Analytics expert. So we all were very different, but very similar because there's a lot of cross-section in what we do. And we all had really different backgrounds. So some of them did study. I would say many of them, many of us are self-taught. And I think just Erin did an amazing job at bringing together this particular group of women. We all just had such a good time in the working sessions and the hot seats, but also just in the social time. So we, like I said, we all decided to go to lunch together for all the days. During the dinners, I talked with almost everybody, and it was just such a great group. It was so relaxed, but also really interesting. And I learned a lot just hanging out with these other great ladies. So I wanted to get into kind of 3 specific results that I felt after investing in this experience that to me made it very, very worth it. So the first one is I felt very supported. And that to me is huge in business, right? So we are creating, it's like we're building, a house. And so you've got your tools and you've got your materials and you're just building away and you get tired. And so having this group of people that you can lean on, and specifically Erin, was just really, really nice. It felt really relaxing at times, but it also felt productive. So again, I think that Erin did a great job at just knowing how to balance those things, which it's not always easy because you want people to have a good time, but you also want to give them lots of content. So the hot seats were a great moment because everybody brought a specific problem, and then we all kind of pitched in to talk about how to solve that problem. So for me, the problem that I brought up was that for a while now, I've been feeling a little bit scattered for my marketing because I really have 2 audiences. I have my one-to-one client who I service directly, and then I've got my web developer, my web designer, my VA who hires me to train them, and I've got courses and my white label service and that stuff. So I just felt like, okay, who should I focus on? Because both of these parts of my business are important. I really like teaching the web developers about Google Analytics and SEO. That's something I know that's just always going to be part of my business. But the one-to-one client retainer work is actually where I make the most of my income. And I also, I'm just able to just go deeper with clients, which I really, really enjoy. I like working kind of high touch. So that's the issue I brought up. I'm going to tell you later how that concluded, but I was feeling so torn about that. Like I didn't know what direction to take. And this was resolved during the mastermind. So getting that support, not just from Erin. Erin was kind of the main figure of that. And I think we all were at that mastermind because of Erin, obviously, but it was also the other women and their feedback and that sort of thing. And also giving that support to other women was very transformative. I think that we forget that seeing other people, get vulnerable and struggle and then giving them support also can be very exciting and empowering. And I think that's another reason I really enjoyed the experience, because it wasn't just one way. It was really a 2-way sort of support going on. So that's the first thing. The second result that I felt from all this was I really felt like I was part of a community, right? So during this 3-day experience, we went through so many emotions. We went through a lot of exciting, positive emotions, but there were also moments of fear, moments of insecurity, like I said, vulnerability. A lot of us, expressed our worries around certain things in our business that were really, really scary. At the end of the day, no one's going to die from online services, but it can feel very much like life or death. And when you're alone, that just gets amplified even more. So being part of this community, these women who up until recently were complete strangers, we immediately all just felt like, yeah, we're in this together. We're going to make it happen. And everybody was just so supportive. So like I said, in the morning, we had our hot seats, and then in the afternoon, Erin had us actually work. We actually had to like brainstorm and make things, right? So for me, my first step was to revisit my funnel design for both these two client types that I have, and kind of how I'm pulling people through working with me. And so I sat down and designed that, right? And so then the second day we got feedback on what we'd worked on. So we were all working together. And of course, there were moments that felt very distracting, but there were other moments that also felt very, very progressive, right? Because I'd work on something, maybe I'd talk to someone about it, they would give me like another idea, or someone would come up to me and ask me about it. I just loved that. It was just felt so collaborative and just amazing. The other thing that I loved about the hot seats is that many times when I was in my hot seat, and I'm sure this happened to other women too, I would talk about a service idea or an opt-in idea, and many of the women would say, I would download that, or I would buy that. That was so comforting, right? Like that felt really like, okay, and having that immediate reaction is also amazing, because so many times, you're alone in your office creating something and you just wonder, will someone even buy this? Like, does this even benefit my people? And having that immediate like yes is like, okay, and that just sticks with you. There's nowhere to forget that. So yeah, being part of that community, really great result that I feel. And I know that I'm always going to be able to reach out to those women from now on and kind of ask for something or offer something, whatever needs to be done. And then the third result that again is just so resounding with me is feeling so motivated and confident stepping away from the mastermind. So the mastermind, like I've been saying, we had moments of kind of intense talking and work, and then we had moments of individual work. And although we were all very relaxed, we were all very productive as well. Like a lot got done. One of the women actually finished a whole concept for an opt-in, and she pretty much finished the whole design for it in like an afternoon. How long does it take you to do an opt-in? Like, for me, it sometimes takes me 2 weeks, and sometimes I start and then never finish it. So having this like isolated environment was very, very helpful to getting things done. So let me tell you a little bit about how things turned out with my marketing plan. So when I went into the problem, I thought, okay, I'm going to have to kind of cut one of these clients out, which felt horrible, but I felt, okay, this is focus. I kept saying focus during my hot seat, focus, focus, focus. How can I focus my marketing? But then after the hot seats, I realized, well, maybe I just need to organize myself better. And this was something, Erin was talking a lot about, just like batching content. So what I did, and a result of the working session, is I actually mapped out 3 months of marketing plans. So 3 months for my one-to-one retainer clients, and then 3 months for my my community, right? My web developer and techie community, which looking, back is like, of course, that's an obvious answer, but hey, I had to go to a mastermind to figure that out. Just having kind of cycles of marketing just really resolved that problem, because of course I still need to run certain things, like my podcast is ongoing, and even if I'm not actively working on it, it needs to keep going. So again, this is where the batching thing comes into play. And Erin just simplified it for me. She was like, you can just do this in an afternoon. And I'm like, oh, whoa, I guess I can. I just realized how I tend to overcomplicate things. And I wasn't the only one. Like, a lot of us, just when we're alone, again, we tend to overcomplicate certain tasks that sure are complex to some extent, but they don't have to be more complex than necessary. So that was kind of the output I got. And again, I felt like once I had the plan in place, I felt so much more confident. Something else that Erin coached me through was, and I saw other women struggling with, was just pricing, right? So we sat down and looked at pricing, and that just changed how I view my prices. And that's a big deal in business, right? The mindset around the pricing can be something that really makes or breaks kind of how you grow. So yeah, those are the three things. And a little bonus thing that kind of came out of that too is, like I said, this was a two-way conversation and we all got somewhat vulnerable. And so seeing the other women, where they were struggling and where they were growing, was so inspiring as well. It was just like, wow, we all have the same issues. Like, we all think that we're like alone and we're all worrying about different things in our situation, but it's really kind of the same stuff that knocks around in terms of feeling like an imposter, feeling like, is this really valuable? Who's my audience? So many questions. I'd see other women bring things up that I didn't bring up because I wanted to focus on my marketing. But, I'd see that and I'm like, oh, wow. And then being kind of the witness to the coaching and the transformation of these things for other women was also very healing and inspiring. So that was kind of another part of the mastermind. I didn't really foresee being that cool, but it was amazing. And it just kind of put more energy in me to just keep doing what I'm doing and push forward. So it was really great, guys. Like, I would recommend, if you're looking to do a mastermind next year and you are techie inclined, definitely check out Erin Flynn's mastermind. You can go to erinflynn.com and she'll have details there, and I'll include all the links in the show notes. And that's another thing I want to mention. I went to Erin's mastermind because I really like how Erin runs her business, and I also really like Erin, right? So this seems obvious, but go to a mastermind that you really, really want to go to. Don't go to one you think you should go to. The industry specific mastermind was a game changer as well. So I'd never gone to something specifically techie, and now I'm thinking of actually doing that more often, because it makes a big difference when you're with women who are techies or are coaches or whatever your industry is, right? It just changes the depth of issues you can get into. That maybe in a more generic mastermind, it's like everybody is slightly, more out there. So that's my experience with the mastermind. And like I said, if you're kind of sitting at home recently and you feel like isolated, get out there. You don't need to go to Denver. You don't need to go far. You can go to meetups. You can go to, any group get-togethers. Just getting out of your house can make a big difference in how you view your business. And it doesn't need to be every day. It can just be once a month. And it can just change your experience with your business and how you get things done. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. And if you have any other questions about my mastermind experience, you can just email me at cynthia@digimorphs.com, or on my Instagram. I'm also very active, and I'd love to talk about that more. I will be posting about it more there too. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for listening, and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye. Hey, Cynthia here. First of all, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I make these episodes with a lot of love and effort, so there are a couple ways you can support the show. First, leaving a rating and review is amazing because it helps other people like you find the podcast. So if you have an iPhone, you can hop on over to the podcast app, tap the album art for my podcast, Digitally Overwhelmed, tap the reviews tab, and then there you can write a little review. So if you don't have an iPhone like me, you have to go to the iTunes store through your computer and find the podcast and leave me a review there. Otherwise, just leave me a review through whatever podcasting platform you're listening to the podcast on. This is super awesome. Thank you so much. Also, if you found the information in this episode helpful, feel free to share it with someone you think would benefit it. You can do this either just telling them, or you can also share with them the link digimorphs.com/podcast. And there you can find all the episodes. You can listen to them online as well. And lastly, if you do want more information about the podcast, about me, about Digimorphs, get full show notes, maybe a link that someone mentioned, head on over to digimorphs.com/podcast. You can search for this episode and previous episodes and get all the info you want. Thank you again so much for listening, and see you next week.